just not a popular issue. I mean, like TYT historically always has defended transgender rights. But the issue of trans women and women's sports, it's just not a popular issue. Okay, poll after poll shows it's not a popular issue. So
see, this is something that we should touch on here. Not a popular issue. Well, that's where we get in a problem, guys. If you believe in transgender rights, then it doesn't matter if the issue is popular. You still want to come to the table and sort it out in an inclusionary way. It wasn't popular ending segregation. It was a very unpopular, and people still had to press forward despite it being unpopular. But that's what's funny about like Ana. To them, it's like, oh, this is unpopular, so therefore we're going to moderate our viewpoint because we don't want to be unpopular. But I thought she literally just said the popularity contest was not the whole thing. She's like, I can freely express my opinions. I don't need to be popular. I have a full life outside of the media sphere, so I'm allowed to stick to my convictions. But like, really? Because either you weren't sticking to your convictions when you said you believed in trans rights, or the minute the trans rights discussion got unpopular and got hard, you wanted to fucking toss them under the bus and jump ship. My thing is, I don't even know if unfettered trans-identifying individuals just joining up in sports, no regulations, no rules, no guidelines, no guardrails. I don't know if that would be a good idea. I don't know if it would be a bad idea, but what I do know is that transgender youth should have a right to compete in sports, and that we could make sports so they can compete too. And maybe we do need to look at the greater issue of sports. I personally believe there's a lot of issues with sports in general. There's a lot of issues where women's sports get shit on until like transgender people want to compete. Then all of a sudden everybody cares. Male sports really chews up and abuses the lower level players, all the while delivering vast amounts of wealth to the upper level players. And then the minimum wage workers are paying for the stadiums while the billionaire owners are getting wealthy as shit. And it's not healthy. The entire pro sports complex is one of exploitation and the wealthiest people in the world exploiting the shit out of everybody. So like the whole system is kind of like, it's kind of fucking tainted. So the fact that maybe we could go in there and revamp that system wouldn't be a bad idea. So I don't know, dude. I just think if you support trans rights, you support at least having a discussion of like how we can make this possible. But the right wing doesn't want to have a discussion. They just want to shut you down.
But the issue of trans women and women's sports, it's just not a popular issue. Okay, poll after poll shows it's not a popular issue. So Cenk was trying to make a point about how if you're going to latch on to an unpopular, stance, it's going to hurt you in the election. And like everyone on the left was like, it's the right thing to do. We don't care. We don't care. And then we lost the election. And I don't think that's the only reason why the Democrats lost the election. But then we lose the election and then like they're pulling their hair out. They're freaking out about it, which, I understand why. But do you want to win elections or not? And so if you don't care, then see your way out the door, because like there's no point in having a conversation with someone who doesn't give a damn about the political ramifications of the unpopular stance that they not only believe in themselves, but they're literally forcing everyone else to believe in.
But see, this is bullshit because transgender people are real, living, breathing humans. It's not just an issue, but look at this shit.
And they should not, and they're also demeaning women. But who would want these things? And everything's transgender. Everybody transgender. That's all you hear about. Now, that's why we won the election in record numbers. But very importantly, now it is what it is. The Democrats should get with us and come up with good tax policy.
So he says everything is transgender. Everybody transgender. That's all you hear about. But dude, no, that's literally all we hear about from the right wing, from Riley Gaines, from Donald fucking Trump. We heard lies about shit about kids being trans in school at every fucking rally. And he didn't win the election in record numbers. They won by 1.4%. They didn't even win the majority of the vote. But again, though, I don't care if we lose. I think you staunchly defend human rights. And yes, the Republican Party are obsessed with this shit. It has nothing to do with Democrats. If anything, the Democrats don't talk about it enough.
Or else deal with like incessant, stupid harassment. It's crazy. Like, if you're hell bent on losing, then don't cry when you lose.
The other thing that's hard in that discussion is the trans rights issues with Republicans are not just about sports. They say it is. Men and women's sports is what they've been claiming, but like, is it really about sports? Because no, they passed the sports thing, and then some states said, well, we states' rights are going to do it our own way, and they're like, all of a sudden, they don't believe in states' rights. Now they want to blackmail the states or extort the states. Then they are taking away their passports. They're not renewing passports, and they're changing the gender markers that already exist. They're stripping their rights to use the bathroom. They're openly disrespecting them in Congress when, you know, he could just say Representative McBride instead of misgendering her. Nancy Mace is like creating a whole content thing of like everything demonizing transgender people. So clearly, it's not like the Republicans believe in trans rights and they just don't want them competing in sports. It is very clear that the Republicans want to completely eradicate and maybe even jail all transgender people. They want to actively harm them and make them not exist. That's very fucking clear. So you can't really like middle of the road. You can't side with 1/10 of their philosophy. Like, yeah, I'm going to support the pivot issue they created to get a wellspring of animosity towards trans people. The issue that's getting even people that don't know anything about the subject all mad and feel threatened. And Anna's going to go ahead and join them with that cause while ignoring all the rest of the harm that's really behind that. It's fucking bullshit, man.
It's tough. It's tough because, like, the thing about what Newsom and, you know, other Democrats are starting to perceive about, you know, let's just say the trans issue. It's like, bruh, this thing polls in like the 70-something% in terms of who agrees with the rad libs on this issue and who doesn't.
Yeah, but see, the problem with the poll around this issue is it's disingenuous. And this is the problem, because the issue is not men and women's sports. That's not an issue. That's not the issue. There are no men in women's sports. Nobody wants men to be able to just go in and compete in women's sports and fucking win shit. That's not an issue. The issue that's polling 70% is not the actual fucking issue. That is the issue that the narrative that has been put forth by the right-wing propaganda machine in order to make it so when they take the gender markers from the trans people and take away their bathrooms and take away their health care and make them disappear, nobody will defend them because they've been led to believe that they're trying to harm their fucking daughters. So that's the fucking problem, is the thing that's polling is not the actual issue at hand. And so the real beef with those of us who are still in a trans/human rights category is we want the issue to be presented as the actual fucking issue it is, and not simply a Big Mac of transphobia that was concocted in the Manhattan Institute and Heritage Foundation think tank laboratory, you know, to be sold retail to mom and pops all over America like your daughters are in trouble. So, like, it's more complicated than that.
There are a lot of gray areas.
A lot.
Within this. I think what people have to just accept, man, like, we separate the genders in sports, right? Like, so we've already
the sexes
in sports. So we already agree with that frame. Everybody.
Well, but the thing though is no. See, he's wrong here though, because we didn't separate the sexes in sports because of something agreed upon. And see, this is part of the problem with this Woz guy. It's like he's close, but like, no, the system as it was sports was men only, period. Sports was always men only, period. Women were not allowed. There were no women in sports, just like women couldn't vote. And then eventually what happened is women fought for the ability to be able to compete in competitive sports. And then they were in a women's league, period. So it's not like women have been competing in sports for thousands of years and we agreed to separate it this way. No, the separation exists because sports was, like everything else, a men only and a white men only. And then eventually men of color. And then eventually, finally, in the very recent times, women had it become available to them in their own women's only leagues that were disregarded as low talent and useless and just completely fucking worth nothing. So the separation we've had has been one that was born of segregation and born of women not having access. And this is what's really problematic, is that framing is like, no, dude, that's why maybe we need to visit sports, because it's always been this man thing that the women have been thrown a fucking bone. Women's sports have not been well cared for or nurtured or necessarily even good for women. They've just been a thing that they were relegated finally in the most recent of times. And so maybe like modifying that and thinking of a new way to classify it other than the gender would improve the level of sports, performance coming from women and men. Okay, maybe there's a way to make this so everybody like achieves at a higher level or what have you, or it's more equitable, like who knows? But this idea that the way it is this great way that we've been doing, that's not the case. The way it is a ramshackle thing that happened because women didn't have that right for the longest time. You roll back not too long ago, and the women were in the same fate that the trans women are currently. Like all women had that. Like, no, you don't get to compete. I don't accept the frame. I think the way sports is handled, especially youth sports, right now is inherently toxic. And I believe this for a long time, that youth sports in America, the way we run it here, is something that glorifies the highest ability people. And it gives them a pedestal and a whole bunch of self-esteem at the expense of all the other people participating. And everybody else is kind of put through this grinder of like, you have no value, in order to glorify that small selected few with the naturally blessed bodies. Sports is just a really toxic, it spreads a lot of toxic messages to the people that compete in it at the youth level. It's terrible.
I have been saying repeatedly that we need to have a conversation about this because, sorry, it's not just about trans people. It's also about women. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you don't like that fact, then I don't know what to tell you. But I do think that there are some instances in which trans women can be included, and it's not unfair. That has been my take from the beginning. I have now, it's not enough for the activists. Okay. And since it's not enough for the activists, then I'm not even willing to negotiate. Okay. It's based on sex. Okay. Trans women are biologically male. Men have different.
See, again, right there, though. There she goes. Trans women are biologically male. So there's her thing. I mean, look at the face, dude. You see the vitriol, right? But that's it. That's why she has that viewpoint. And that's why she has this disconnect, because she never really supported trans rights, because she's not looking at trans women as being biologically women that were delivered in a male body. She is vessel only. So this is why, I mean, isn't it perfect, the face she has? Dude, she has a Caroline Leavitt face. It's the Gulf of America. It's the body of water. But that's it. There you go. That is the Ana beef, is she does not, on the most fundamental level, except that trans women are biologically women, even though they were delivered in a male vessel. And that's it. Your vessel doesn't necessitate your full biological makeup. It's true. It's like You know, it's like a glitch in the matrix. And now the way human beings form, all right, is our genitalia. We come in with one set of genitalia that then morphs towards the sex. And then at the very end, the mind morphs. So having the sex become a male genitalia and then the mind being a female biological mind totally like makes so much sense. You know, of course, if the system glitches or vice versa, goes to the female, you know, genitalia and then it becomes a male mind. It's totally sensible. Now, that doesn't mean that every person who identifies as transgender is that. There may be people who think they're trans and they're not. And there may be people that don't think they're trans, but they are. There's going to be a lot of gray areas here. But at the end of the day, you do have to accept the fundamental that there are actually trans women that are actually women that were delivered in a male vessel, but they are not biologically male. They are biologically female, even though they're in a male vessel. And Ana appears to not accept that. First off, she believes that the vessel and the vessel alone determines their biology. And then I imagine she's about to go into the whole patriarchy thing, which means that if there is a male vessel, that automatically means some type of superiority over the female vessel, which is not necessarily true. And especially when you get into hormone levels and shit, that's absolutely not true. And of course, there could be hormone levels and, you know, testosterone levels determining categories of sport. Like there are many ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? Horrible phrase. But you see what I'm saying? But this is the root of her issue here.
And since it's not enough for the activists, then I'm not even willing to negotiate. Okay, it's based on sex. Okay, trans women are biologically male. Men have different body types compared to women on average. There might be some exceptions. Different muscle mass, endurance, strength. Are we really going to pretend like that's not the fucking case? It is the fucking case.
See, there we go, dude. There's her thing. Her thing is trans women are men, according to Ana, and men are superior than women, according to Ana. So this is why, Ana, you were never on the left wing. You don't even fucking get it. You're a right winger. I know you were saying you support trans rights, probably because it was really cool. Black Lives Matter, support trans rights, right? Yay! You're at the parade. Everybody loves you. You're a progressive icon. You're on all the talk shows yelling at people, but clearly you don't fucking believe it. You don't fucking get it. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.